The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Every species felt it. Every world sensed it. Something dangerous was moving through the stars, and nobody knew when it would strike next. But one thing was certain. The Varkesh Dominion was coming. Across the galaxy their name caused fear. They were tall, armored creatures with cold eyes and sharper claws. Their empire had grown for hundreds of years, swallowing small civilizations like hungry fire. One message from them could destroy the courage of an entire planet. And today they sent a message to all species. A giant hologram appeared in the skies of dozens of worlds. Civilians ran and screamed as the Varkesh warlord stood tall in the glowing image. His voice echoed everywhere. Submit to the Varkesh Dominion. Give us your fleets, your land, your people. He lifted his head with pride. Those who refuse will meet extinction. The message ended with a single line. Your silence will be taken as surrender. Across the galaxy, fear spread like cold wind. Leaders of many species gathered to decide what to do. Some said they should fight. Some said they should run. And some said they had no chance at all. One leader asked the question everyone feared. What about humans? Did humanity respond to the message? The room fell silent. Everyone looked at the human communication channel. It showed nothing. No message. No warning. No reply. One alien general frowned. Did the humans not hear the threat? Another replied softly. They heard it, but they didn't answer. A third whispered in fear. Why would humans stay silent when war is coming? Nobody had an answer. Even the Varkesh Dominion noticed the silence. In their war room, the Varkesh warlord slammed his fist on the table. His eyes narrowed. Why do the humans not reply? He growled. A Varkesh officer bowed his head. We believe they are afraid. They hide behind silence, hoping we will spare them. The warlord laughed, a deep, cruel sound. Humans, afraid? Good. That means they are weak. He pointed at the star map. Send our scouts into human space. If humans will not answer. His voice turned darker. We will crush them without mercy. The Varkesh fleet launched into the darkness of space. Meanwhile, inside human territory, a strange quiet zone existed on the far edge of human borders. No communication signals. No satellite lights. No ship movement. Just darkness and silence. Some alien species believed humans abandoned that area. Others believed humans died long ago. But the truth was stranger. Deep inside the silent zone, hidden behind layers of black space, human eyes were watching every movement. Massive screens glowed softly in a secret human command center. A human officer reported, Sir, Varkesh scouts have entered the silent zone. Another officer added, They believe our silence means weakness. The room remained calm. The human commander stood up. His face was calm but his voice was sharp. The Varkesh chose war. They chose to threaten us. He turned toward the screens showing enemy ships entering human space. Send no message. Send no warning. He paused. Just prepare the system. The officers nodded. Silent protocol activated. Lights on the wall turned red. Far away, hidden structures began to wake quietly. No sound, no flash, no vibration. Like the heartbeat of a sleeping monster. The humans did not send fleets to greet the invaders. They did not shout threats. They did not fire first. They simply watched in silence. Back with the Varkesh scouts. The first Varkesh scout ship moved into the quiet zone. The captain stared at his dead screens. No signals, nothing, he said. Are the humans not defending their territory? His navigator shook his head. There is no life here. No heat signatures. No defense systems. No ships. Nothing. Another scout ship sent a report. Human systems are completely silent. It is like, they do not exist. The captain smirked. So humans truly fear us. They hide like insects. But then, something strange happened. The scouts' radar began to glitch. Lights flickered. Alarms buzzed. Navigation screens turned black. The captain growled. What is happening? The engineer shouted. Sir, something is jamming our systems. Something powerful. The captain looked out the window. Nothing. No ships. No stations. Only darkness. Then he felt it. A cold pressure in the air. A silence so deep it felt alive. The Varkesh captain whispered. Something is out there. But before he could finish, the ship's engines shut down completely. The lights died. The air turned colder. Every system went dead. One Varkesh soldier whispered in fear. Sir, something is shutting us down, without firing at us. The captain's voice cracked. This is not human weakness. This is something else. But it was too late to turn back. The silent zone had closed around them like a trap. Final suspense for part 1. In the human command center, an officer looked at the screens showing the dead Varkash ships. Sir, the scouts have entered the silent field. They are trapped. The commander nodded slowly. Good. He looked out the window into the darkness of space. Let them understand this truth. He closed his eyes. Humanity does not shout. Humanity does not warn. Humanity answers war with silence. And somewhere in that darkness, unseen by any alien eye, something enormous began to wake. The Varkash scouts were trapped. Their ships floated in the cold dark like dead metal, unable to move, unable to call for help. No sound, no signal, not even a whisper escaped the silent zone. Inside the flagship, the Varkash captain struggled to stay calm. Try the engines again, he ordered. The engineer shook his head. They do not respond, sir. It is like the ship itself is frozen. Another officer spoke, voice shaking. Sir, we are not alone. The captain turned sharply. What do you mean? The officer pointed at the window. Out in the darkness, something moved. Not a ship. Not a planet's shadow. It was bigger, older, quiet like a ghost drifting through space. Before the Varkash could see clearly, the movement vanished again. The crew fell silent. The silent zone was living up to its name. Meanwhile, in Human Command Center, deep inside the hidden human facility, the commander stood watching dozens of screens. Each showed the disabled Varkash scouts, not destroyed, simply captured by silence. A communication officer reported. Sir, all Varkash scouts are inside the field. They are blind. Another officer added. The silent network is stable. Should we proceed to phase 2? The commander placed his hands behind his back. Not yet. Let them feel the silence. Let them understand what they walked into, he thought. Humans had built the silent zone for one reason. To observe any enemy who entered human space. No violence unless necessary. No communication unless needed. Just pure, controlled silence. But the commander also knew something else. A deeper truth. The silent zone was not only a trap. It was also a guardian. And that guardian was waking. Back to the Varkash scouts. The Varkash captain slowly stepped toward the window. His claws clicked on the metal floor. What kind of weapon is this? He whispered. The navigator replied. Sir, this is not normal. No weapon should shut down everything, life support, engines, shields, communication, without touching us. Another officer whispered. Maybe the humans have technology we do not know. Something old, something dangerous. The captain growled. Humans are weak. They cannot build something like this. But the fear in his eyes betrayed him. Suddenly the radar turned on for a single second. A giant shape appeared on the screen, one enormous blip. Then the radar died again. Every Varkash stared at the blank screen with wide eyes. What was that? One soldier whispered. The captain's voice was low. That was no human ship. It was too big. A deep metallic sound echoed through the hall. Boom, boom, boom. Like something heavy knocking on the ship. Every Varkash soldier froze. Something is touching us, the engineer whispered. Lights flickered again. Another boom. And then, silence. Dead, crushing silence. Human monitoring station. An officer turned to the commander. Sir, Object 7 is scanning the Varkash scout ships. Object 7. Humanity's greatest secret. A colossal machine built long before the war. Older than most alien civilizations. A guardian made of metal and silence. Nobody outside human space even knew it existed. The commander nodded slowly. Let Object 7 complete its scan. Do not interrupt it. On the screens, huge shadows moved around the Varkash ships like swirling fog. The shapes were not fully visible, just hints of massive, angular structures drifting through space. The silent guardian was studying the intruders. It was not hostile. Not yet. Inside the Varkash ship, a sudden whispering sound came through the speakers. Soft, cold, almost human. The crew jumped to their feet. It's a message, the communications officer yelled. We're receiving something. The captain shouted. Put it on the main speakers. The whisper grew louder, forming words. Do not advance. The entire crew froze. The message repeated, clearer this time. Do not advance. The Varkash captain growled. So the humans speak at last. The whisper replied instantly. Not humans. A chill ran down every spine. If not humans, then who was speaking? Identify yourself, the captain demanded. For a moment nothing answered. Then the whisper returned, deeper, colder. I am the one they built to watch the stars. The captain stepped back. A guardian? A machine? A weapon? What do you want? He asked. The reply was simple. Leave this space. The captain snarled. We do not take orders. A final whisper echoed through the ship. Then you will not leave at all. The lights died again. Human Command Center. The commander watched the Varkesh scouts on the screen. Object 7 has issued its warning, an officer said. Do we intervene? The commander shook his head slowly. No. They chose to enter our silent field. Now they must face what waits inside. He stared at the dark giant shape moving on the screen. You do not disturb the Guardian. And walk away freely. Last moments of Part 2. Inside the Varkesh ship, panic was rising. Systems were dead. Air was growing colder. Something heavy was locking around the hull. The captain shouted, Prepare weapons. But weapons didn't respond. Nothing responded. And outside, through the thin window of the ship, a single enormous red eye blinked open, watching them, measuring them, judging them. The Varkesh captain whispered, What have the humans created? The silent guardian moved closer. Its eye glowed brighter. And then the ship shook violently. The beginning of the end for the scouts. The Varkesh ship shook again, harder this time. Metal screamed. Bolts snapped. Panels fell from the ceiling. Every Varkesh soldier clung to anything they could grab. Stabilize the ship, the captain roared. We can't, the engineer yelled back. Something is pulling us. The captain hurried to the window, but the darkness outside made it impossible to see anything. Only the faint red glow remained, the same red eye staring at them. Watching. Studying. Waiting. Then, slowly, the darkness moved. The shape reveals itself. At first it looked like a shadow. An enormous shadow that covered the stars. Piece by piece the silent figure came into view. Armor plates like giant black mountains. Long cables hanging like metal vines. A massive central core glowing faint red. It was not a ship. Not a creature. Not anything the Varkesh had ever seen. It was a silent guardian. A machine so large it made their flagship look like a toy. The radar blinked on for half a second. Size, unknown. Class, unknown. Threat level, impossible to measure. The captain felt his throat go dry. What kind of weapon is this? Human Command Center, watching the awakening. Far away, inside the Human Command Center, alarms turned blue, sign of a non-hostile but active system. Object 7 is fully awake, sir. The commander stepped closer to the main holoscreen. Is it hostile? He asked. Not yet, replied the officer. It is only restraining the Varkesh ship. No destructive output detected. The commander nodded. Good. Object 7 always prefers a warning before force. Then he added quietly. But if they resist, the Guardian will end them. The officers exchanged nervous looks. Everyone knew the stories. Object 7 was the oldest machine humans ever built. A relic from the Silent Age. A superweapon that did not fire lasers, did not explode planets. It simply erased what it touched. Quietly. Cleanly. Completely. Inside the Varkesh ship, panic begins. The hull groaned as giant metal claws tightened around the ship. Not to crush it. No, the grip was deliberate. It wanted them alive. For now. The Varkesh captain shouted. Charge the plasma cannons. Aim at its eye. We can't, the weapons officer screamed. Nothing responds. This field blocks everything. The captain slammed his fist on the console. We are warriors. We do not die like insects. Another violent shake threw everyone off their feet. Sparks exploded. Smoke filled the air. The captain climbed back up and stared at the red eye through the window. You dare challenge the Varkesh Empire? He growled. The red eye blinked once. Then a deep, metallic voice filled the ship, calm and emotionless. You intruded into forbidden space. The voice felt like cold metal sliding down their spines. This zone is under protection. The captain shouted. By humans? Silence. Then the voice answered. By me. The Guardian's warning. For the first time, a thin beam of light shot from the red eye. Not an attack, just a scan. It passed through the Varkesh ship like a ghost. Every soldier froze. Every screen flickered. The voice continued. You came seeking war. The captain gritted his teeth but said nothing. War will be your end. The Varkesh navigator whispered. Sir, it's judging us. The captain yelled. We do not fear judgment. We fear nothing. The red eye brightened. Incorrect. The ship trembled as the claws tightened slightly. You fear silence. A cold wave moved across the entire ship. Every sound stopped. Even their breathing felt muted. The hum of the engines, the buzzing of lights, the crackling of sparks. All gone. Total silence. The soldiers looked around in shock. Sir, I cannot hear anything, one whispered. But he heard his own voice in his head. Not in the air. The captain tried to shout orders, but no sound came from his mouth. The Guardian had stolen their voices. Their words. Their noise. Their power. Human Command Center, Decision Point. The lieutenant turned to the commander. Sir, Object 7 has initiated psychological phase 1. The commander sighed. It does not want to destroy them. It wants them to understand. Should we step in? Send a message? The commander shook his head. Not yet. If they surrender, we show mercy. If they resist, they chose their path. He stared at the glowing red shape on the screen. Let the Guardians speak for humanity. Back to the Varkesh ship, the breaking point. The silence crushed them. Not a single Varkesh could speak. Not a single machine could hum. Not even their own heartbeat sounded inside their chests. The captain tried to stand strong, but terror crawled up his spine. This was worse than any weapon. Worse than any battle. Worse than death itself. It was silence that swallowed everything. Then the voice returned, not in sound but directly inside their minds. You have one choice. The captain's body trembled. Leave, and never return. The red eye dimmed. Or remain, and be erased. The claws loosened slightly, giving them a chance to escape. A chance for life. But the Varkesh were warriors. They did not retreat. The captain bared his teeth and shouted in his mind. We choose war. The red eye brightened again, slow, cold, and final. Then you choose extinction. The Guardian pulled the ship deeper into the silent zone. The end had begun. The Varkesh flagship was now deep inside the silent zone. Wrapped in darkness. Held by the Guardian's metal claws. Surrounded by cold space that swallowed every whisper. The red eye burned brighter than before, staring into the ship like a judge waiting for the final moment. Inside, the Varkesh captain stood trembling. He had chosen war. He had chosen death. But he still believed he could win. We fight until our last breath, he shouted in his mind, unable to speak out loud. His crew nodded weakly, fear twisting their faces. Yet far away humanity was watching. Human Command Center, a difficult decision. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was tense. Screens showed the Varkesh ship trapped in the Guardian's grip, slowly being pulled deeper into the silent field. One officer swallowed hard. Sir, if Object 7 continues pulling them in, the ship will not survive. Another added. The Varkesh might see this as an act of war from humanity. The commander stood silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. Open a channel to Object 7. The officers turned toward him in shock. Sir, the Guardian does not receive human commands during active defense. The commander nodded. I know. But it listens when humanity speaks with purpose. He stepped forward, hands behind his back, and spoke. Guardian 7. This is Commander Hale of Terran Defense. Pause the execution. Silence. The entire room froze. A low hum vibrated through the screens. The red eye on the Guardian paused its movement. The voice came through, metallic and emotionless. Reason? The commander exhaled slowly. We want to speak to them. Another rumble. Unnecessary. They chose war. The commander's face tightened. Yes. But only humanity decides who we destroy, and who we spare. A deeper silence followed. The Guardian considered his words. Inside the Guardian's grip, a strange stillness. The Varkesh felt the claws stop pulling. For the first time they were not sinking deeper. The silent zone grew still. The captain gripped the railing with shaking claws. What is happening? Why has it stopped? The crew looked around in fear. Sir, maybe it is preparing to kill us. Another soldier shook his head. No, something feels different. The pressure is lower. The silence is lighter. Then a new sound filled the ship. A clear, calm voice. Not the Guardian. Not a machine. A human voice. Varkesh vessel. This is Commander Hale of the Terran Defense Force. Can you hear me? The soldiers gasped. They could speak again. The captain tested his voice. Human, you speak inside our ship? The human replied. We speak through the Guardian. You are still inside its field. The captain's anger flared. You dare trap us like animals? The human answered calmly. You entered our space with weapons raised. No creature enters with war and leaves without consequence. Commander Hale, the offer. Back in the command center, Commander Hale stood tall, voice firm and cold. This is your final chance. We offer you mercy. The Varkesh captain snarled. Mercy? We do not want mercy. Hale continued. You misunderstand. Mercy is not for the weak. Mercy is a warning. The captain hesitated. Hale's voice remained steady. Leave now. Return to your empire. Tell them humanity does not seek war. He paused. But if you return with weapons, we will not show mercy again. The Varkesh crew muttered nervously. The captain clenched his fists. You expect us to retreat because you threaten us with a machine? Commander Hale replied. That machine is only one of 7. The captain froze. 7? If one silent guardian could trap their entire fleet, what could 7 do? The Varkesh captain's pride. Fear twisted inside the captain, but pride was stronger. You humans hide behind your machines, he spat. You fear real battle. The commander sighed. Do you truly believe that? We have survived extinction many times. We stand because we adapt, and because we fight when needed. He leaned forward. You think you want war with us, but you have no idea what war with humanity means. The Varkesh captain shouted. We are warriors. We do not retreat. The commander's voice hardened. Then your fate is sealed. The screen flickered. Object 7's red eye brightened again. The claws tightened once more. The guardian waited for one final order. Tension breaks, humanity makes a choice. The officers looked at their commander. Sir, if you give the order, the guardian will erase them. The commander's jaw tightened. He stared at the screen showing terrified Varkesh soldiers still alive but moments from death. Humanity does not kill for pride, he said softly. Then loudly. Guardian. Release them. Every officer's eyes widened. The command was absolute. The guardian obeys. A deep pulse echoed across space. The claws around the Varkesh ship slowly opened. Metal groaned. Lights returned. Screens flickered back on. The Varkesh could breathe again. The red eye dimmed, no longer a threat, just a warning. The voice of the guardian echoed one last time. Leave. The captain stared in disbelief. You, let us go? Commander Hale replied through the channel. Yes. Tell your people what you saw. Tell them humanity gave you life. After you chose war. The Varkesh captain could only whisper. Why? Hale answered. Because extinction should be your choice, not ours. And with that, the human signal cut off. The guardian released the ship fully. The silent zone opened like a doorway. And the Varkesh flagship drifted out, shaking, broken but alive. Their fate, still undecided. The Varkesh flagship finally escaped the silent zone. Its engines flickered weakly. Its shields were broken. Its crew trembled like survivors of a nightmare. But they were alive. The Guardian had released them. And that confused the Varkesh more than anything else. Inside the command bridge, every soldier watched their captain. He stood silently, staring at the stars ahead, as if searching for an explanation. At last, one officer spoke. Sir, should we send word to the Empire? The captain didn't respond. Another officer whispered. Sir, why did the humans let us go? The question hung in the air like cold smoke. No one had an answer. The captain's fear. For the first time in his life, the Varkesh captain felt fear. Not fear of death, he had faced that many times. Not fear of battle, he welcomed battle. This fear was different. It was the fear of the unknown. Fear of something more powerful than his entire empire. Fear of a silence that could swallow armies. He remembered the Guardian's voice, the way it spoke directly inside his mind. Leave, or be erased. The captain shivered. We return to the Empire, he finally said. We must report this. The crew sighed in relief. But their relief lasted only seconds. A radar officer gasped loudly. Sir, you must see this. The captain rushed to the screen. What he saw turned his blood cold. A human escort. 2 human ships were following them. Not firing. Not blocking their path. Just watching. Guiding them. Why are they here? One soldier whispered. The captain clenched his jaw. To make sure we leave. The ships were small, far smaller than the Guardian but still advanced. Their engines glowed bright blue, moving effortlessly through space. The captain felt humiliation burn inside him. They had to be escorted out like criminals. He growled. They treat us as if we are weak. The navigator replied softly. Sir, after what we saw, maybe we are. The captain snapped. Silence. But the words hurt him too, because deep down he knew the navigator was right. Arrival at the Empire. Hours later, the Varkesh flagship finally reached Varkesh-controlled space. The moment they crossed into the border, the human escort ships stopped. They hovered for a moment, then slowly turned away and vanished into the stars. It wasn't a threat. It was a message. We know where your borders begin. We know how far you can go. Do not cross again. Inside the Varkesh ship, not a single soldier spoke as the broadcasting tower came into view. They were going home. But not victorious. Not even whole. The Varkesh War Council. Within hours, the captain was summoned before the High War Council. The council chamber was vast, lined with black stone and glowing red symbols. 12 high-ranking Varkesh leaders sat in a half-circle, staring at him. The captain kneeled. Rise, the Grand Marshal hissed. The captain obeyed. What happened in human space? The marshal demanded. The captain took a deep breath. We entered the human silent zone. Our ships lost power. A guardian machine captured us. A machine, one counselor growled. Humans cannot build such a thing. The captain looked directly at them. Then explain how they stopped our engines, our weapons, our voices. The counselors shifted uncomfortably. The captain continued. The humans contacted us. They offered mercy. They told us to leave. The Grand Marshal slammed his claw on the table. Humans offered mercy? Do they think we are weak? The captain's voice hardened. They offered mercy because they did not need to destroy us. Silence filled the chamber. The captain added. They said, the guardian we saw is one of 7. The room erupted with shock. 7? Impossible. No empire builds such weapons. Are they preparing to attack us? This changes everything. The Grand Marshal raised his hand. Quiet. The chamber fell silent. The Marshal studied the captain. You face the humans. You face their silent weapon. Tell me, should we continue the war? The captain closed his eyes for a moment. Images flashed through his mind. The Guardian's red eye. The crushing silence. The voice inside his head. Then you choose extinction. He opened his eyes again. His voice was cold and steady. If we choose war, we choose the end of the Varkesh. Gasps filled the room. The Marshal growled. You dare suggest we fear the humans? No, the captain answered. I suggest we respect them. The council fell into stunned silence. A dangerous split. But respect did not come easily to the Varkesh. Half the council glared at the captain. You are coward. You let human tricks weaken your spirit. You dishonor the Varkesh Empire. The other half murmured thoughtfully. If the humans have weapons older than our history. If they can erase fleets in silence. Perhaps war is not the answer. The chamber began to split. 2 sides forming. One hungry for revenge. One terrified of extinction. The Grand Marshal bared his teeth. The council will decide. For now, you are dismissed. The captain bowed and left the chamber. But he knew the truth. The Varkesh Empire had changed. Fear had entered their hearts. And fear could drive them to peace. Or to a greater madness. He whispered to himself. If they choose peace, we live. He looked toward the stars. But if they choose war again, humanity will finish us. Ending of Part 5. As he walked out of the council hall, the captain felt something heavy, something he had not felt in years. It was not fear of humans. It was fear of his own people. Because he knew the truth. Some Varkesh leaders would rather die in a glorious war than accept mercy from humanity. The next decision would decide the fate of both species. The Varkesh capital planet burned with tension. Every street, every hall, every soldier. All waited for one answer from the High War Council. Would the Varkesh choose peace? Or choose extinction? Inside the council fortress, an enormous black tower stretching into the clouds, 12 leaders sat in a circle, glaring at each other. The air vibrated with anger, hatred, fear, and pride. The Grand Marshal stood in the center, claws behind his back. Let us begin, he growled. The council divides. Councillor Reth, known for his brutal strategies, struck the table. I vote for war. Humans insulted us by letting us live. They treat us like insects. Several councillors roared in agreement. Another councillor hissed. We cannot bow to humans. We are warriors. But Councillor Surin, an older member with deep scars, shook his head slowly. You did not see what the captain saw, he said. There are things in human space older than our history. Weapons we cannot understand. Reth spat on the floor. Lies. Humans are weak. Siren's eyes narrowed. Then why did one Guardian nearly tear our flagship apart without firing a single shot? Silence spread through the room. The truth hurt. Pride resisted. Logic struggled. The council was evenly split. 6 for war. 6 for retreat. And time was running out. The captain enters. Suddenly the doors slammed open. The Varkesh captain marched in. The Grand Marshal growled. You were not summoned. I come with new information, the captain said firmly. The marshal narrowed his eyes. Speak. The captain held up a data tablet. It glowed with recordings from their journey. He pressed a button. A large hologram filled the room. The Guardian. The enormous black machine. Its claws, its cables, its glowing red eye. The monstrous size made even the bravest counselors step back. Some gasped. Some cursed. Some trembled. Then the recording played the Guardian's voice. Leave, or be erased. A cold shiver ran through the chamber. The captain spoke. This is the power humanity guards. This is what we challenged. Reth slammed his fist. Trick. Machines can be faked. The captain stepped closer to him. Then go and challenge it yourself. Reth froze. Everyone stared at him. He said nothing. He would not volunteer. Not even he was that foolish. A new revelation. The captain continued. We saw only one Guardian. Commander Hale warned us there are 7. A murmur spread through the chamber. 7 silent giants? 7 Guardians older than their technology? 7 machines that could erase fleets? The Grand Marshal growled. Did the humans threaten us with these? No, the captain answered. They warned us to avoid war. They spared us. That is what frightens me. Why? A counselor asked. The captain spoke quietly. Because the humans did not need to spare us. The room turned still. They could have destroyed us in silence. But they didn't. Not because they fear us, but because they do not want our extinction. That sentence cut deeper than any blade. Desperation in the council. Counselor Reth stood again, roaring. You speak like a human lover. You dishonor your species. The captain did not move. I speak the truth. If we attack their space again, we will not leave alive. The council exploded into shouting. The humans challenge us. We must fight. We must survive. We must not show weakness. We must avoid extinction. The Grand Marshal raised his claws. Enough. The chamber fell into silence. He turned to the captain. Your report is clear. Your message is understood. Then he turned to the council. The time has come to vote. The final vote begins. A heavy drum echoed through the chamber. One by one, each counselor stepped forward and placed their vote into a glowing red sphere. Peace. Peace. The votes came slowly, painfully. The tension grew. Sweat dripped. Hearts pounded. Breathing became heavy. Finally, the 12th vote was cast. The Grand Marshal lifted the sphere. The red glow brightened. The room held its breath. And then, the results projected on the wall. The results, a dangerous choice. 6 votes for peace. 6 votes for war. A tie. A perfect, unbreakable tie. The council froze. Everyone turned toward the Grand Marshal. Because in Varkesh law, the Marshal breaks ties. The entire empire now waited for his voice. He stepped forward. He raised his claw. And he said, We choose. A deep rumble interrupted him. The ground shook. Lights flickered. A loud explosion echoed across the city. The captain spun toward the window. No, it can't be. Black smoke rose over the capital. Sirens screamed. An officer burst into the chamber. Council. We are under attack. Reth hissed. Humans? The officer shook his head violently. No. Our own people. A Varkesh extremist fleet has launched an attack. They refuse peace. Gasps filled the hall. The Grand Marshal growled. This is treason. The officer shouted. Worse. They are heading toward human space. Right now. The chamber erupted into pure chaos. The captain whispered in horror. They will start a war humanity cannot ignore. And humanity would not respond with mercy again. The Varkesh capital shook with alarms. Red lights flashed across every wall. Soldiers ran through the halls. The air was filled with fear and confusion. The extremist fleet, made of Varkesh radicals, had already left orbit. They were heading straight toward human space. The captain felt his chest tighten. They are going to start a war we cannot survive, he whispered. The Grand Marshal looked furious but also afraid. They want glory, he growled. They want revenge. They will bring doom to all of us. The desperate decision. Inside the council chamber, chaos exploded again. We must stop them. We must surrender to humans before the radicals reach them. We must prepare defenses. No, humans will erase us. The captain finally stepped forward. Council, listen to me. Everyone turned. The radicals think humans will fight like we do. They don't understand humanity. They don't know what silent extinction means. A counselor shook his head. What is silent extinction? The captain answered quietly. It means humans do not waste energy on revenge. They erase threats fast and clean. You die before you even know you were targeted. The room froze. They will not attack our armies. They will not attack our planets. They will erase our leadership, our command, our fleets, without a warning. The Grand Marshal growled. Then we must send a message to humans. We must warn them this attack is not from us. The captain nodded. Yes, that is the only way to save our species. The message to humanity. The Marshal raised his claw. Prepare a transmission to Commander Hale. The comms officer activated a glowing blue screen. Static filled the air. Then Commander Hale's image appeared. Even as a hologram, his presence was overwhelming. Cold, calm, deadly. The Marshal spoke. Commander Hale. A radical Varkesh fleet has broken our control. They are heading to human space. They do not speak for us. Hale's eyes narrowed slightly. Understood. The Marshal hesitated. We request mercy. Please stop them without destroying our worlds. Hale tilted his head. Grand Marshal, do you understand what your radicals are flying toward? Silence. They are entering Guardian zones. The captain felt his blood turn cold. The Marshal swallowed. What will happen to them? Hale answered. What always happens. The Guardians wake. Far away in deep space. The Varkesh extremist fleet flew in a tight formation. Their leader laughed over the comms. Humans fear us. We will show them the power of the Vark. His words stopped. Every ship's sensors lit up at once. Multiple readings. Massive readings. Impossible readings. One pilot screamed. Something is coming out of the dark. A massive shape emerged. A guardian. Then another. And another. And another. 7 total. 7 black giants floating silently in the void. No weapons charged. No lights blinked. No sound. Only their red eyes opened. One by one. The extremist leader shouted. Fire. Fire now. But before a single weapon activated, the Guardians moved. Not fast. Not slow. Simply, inescapable. A silent wave of invisible force passed through the Varkesh vessels. No explosion. No flames. Just quiet destruction. Every engine died. Every shield failed. Every system shut down in less than a second. The extremists were drifting corpses in metal coffins. The Guardians turned away, almost bored. Their work was done. Silent extinction. Humanity responds. Back in the capital, Hale's voice echoed through the chamber. The radical fleet has been neutralized. The Marshal blinked. How many survivors? None. Several counselors collapsed into their chairs. Hale looked at them calmly. You came close to losing more. The captain stepped forward. Commander, will you punish the rest of us? Hale paused. Then he said, No. Relief spread through the chamber. But understand this, there cannot be a second mistake. His voice sharpened. Humanity does not enjoy war. But if war comes to us, your species will not get a second mercy. The hologram flickered out. A new path. The council chamber was silent for a long time. Finally, the Grand Marshal stood. We have seen humanity's power. We have seen their mercy. And we have seen their warning. He looked at the captain. You were right. The captain bowed his head. We still have a chance to survive. But only if we learn. Only if we grow. Only if we change. The Marshal nodded. And we will. From this day forward. The Varkesh will not challenge humanity again. A counselor whispered. What about the Guardians? The captain answered softly. They were sleeping before. Let us give them no reason to wake again. The final message. The Marshal sent a final, formal transmission to the humans. We choose peace. We choose life. We choose silence over extinction. Deep in human space, the Guardians returned to their dark stations. Silent. Still. Watching. Waiting.